Hi there, and welcome to a very special episode of AskTom. In today's episode, I was pleased to be joined by Steve Smith of Higher Plains Consulting Limited. Steve recently completed his pension-led funding deal during the 2020 coronavirus pandemic. We talked around some of the opportunities that brought, some of the struggles that came along with it, and we joined the interview with Steve introducing himself, his business, and letting us know what he does. We'll take the interview forward from there.
Good morning, Tom. Good morning, anyone watching. I'm Steve Smith from Business Doctors.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Steve, very glad to have you here. Do you want to give people at home a quick sort of intro as to sort of how you started the journey, or what attracted you to starting a business, and in particular a Business Doctors franchise?
Yes, certainly, Tom. I started the year at a little bit of a crossroads in my career. I'd worked in large multinationals for 30 years or so, but I'd just set up Higher Plane Consulting to get interim work and project work and do something a little bit different. Unfortunately, the coronavirus impact wasn't too good for that. So I was at that bit of a crossroads. Where do I go next? And Business Doctors approached me, having seen my profile on LinkedIn, and said, you've got the skills and experience that could make a real difference in the local business community, working with SMEs and business owners. Is that something you'd be interested in? It wasn't something I'd considered before, but I did a lot of due diligence, spent a lot of time with Business Doctors, and then thought, yeah, I think I'd really like to do that. It would be something different. I think I would really enjoy it, and I felt as though I could perhaps give a little bit back from all the training that I'd had in previously from companies like Procter & Gamble and Kellogg's.
So when it came to us getting involved in the process, when it comes to starting franchises, often the funding is an issue. Was that the case with us?
Yeah, it was the funding that got me in touch with Clifton to begin with. A couple of other Business Doctors had used a pension-led funding approach and recommended it, and recommended yourselves. So I had looked and did go down the route of some of the government startup funding, etc. But because of the working capital and the investment in the franchise itself, that was never going to be enough. So I needed an additional source of funds. So that's why I came to Clifton and looked at the pension-led funding. The Business Doctors model, it's a great proven model that I'm really enjoying, but there is an element of patience required because it takes time to build up a network and get to know people in the local business communities. It just doesn't happen overnight. So you do have to have that little bit of patience with it. And obviously you need working capital to fund you along that route.
With regards to the patients, it's well documented that the pension-led process isn't an overnight one. It's not a case of filling a single form and the money's in your bank within an hour. There is a little bit more work to it. How did you find that process overall?
Yes, a lot more in depth than a bounce back loan, that's for sure. It was very detailed. It was comprehensive. It was very challenging in some respects, but I actually enjoyed it because of that. Because I had to put together a 5-year P&L projection. I had to outline and develop clear strategies and choices that I would make to develop the business, and I found that quite a cathartic and enjoyable process. And it really reinforced to me that I was making a commitment for something that I really wanted to do. I think if you weren't that committed, going through that process would identify that. So, I found the process really enjoyable, actually.
Sounds good. And what are your plans going forward? Obviously, 2020 has been a big year for many different reasons. We record this after the first vaccine to someone in the UK. So I think we're starting to see the corner begin to be turned. What does 2021 look like? What are your plans? What are you hoping for?
Well, obviously, there's still concern and trepidation amongst businesses, clearly. A long way to go in coming out the other side of the pandemic. But I'm really, really positive and really excited about 2021. I've done a lot of groundwork with Business Doctors now. I've got to know a lot of wonderful businesses. I've got to know people in local networking groups, develop relationships with local chambers of commerce. In fact, just prior to this meeting, I was on the Halton Chamber AGM, which was great to see how well they've managed through the pandemic. So I'm really positive. There will be concern and trepidation amongst businesses. Some might be that little bit reluctant in outside support. One of the key things that people have discovered amongst themselves as people and also as businesses through 2020 is that sort of resilience and sense of determination. And I think that will really come to the fore next year. And that's exactly the type of business and people that business doctors thrive on working with. Supporting businesses, helping them regenerate, redefine a new strategy, and then be successful in the future. So really, really positive and looking forward to it.
Steve, thank you very much for your time, and certainly here's to a very buoyant 2021. Do you want to let people at home know how they can get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what you can do to help them?
Yes, certainly. As a business doctor, I cover a specific region in the Northwest, but there are business doctors right across the UK. You can go to the Business Doctors website, or you can search for Steve Smith Business Doctor, and I'd welcome the chat to talk to any businesses about their plans going forward. And if there's an opportunity for business doctors to get involved and help, we've helped over 10,000 SMEs to date, and we're hungry to work with others. So yeah, please get in touch.
Sounds good. Well, Steve, thanks again for your time.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Steve, for your time there and for your time at home watching. If what we've discussed today has been relevant or useful for yourself, whether it's starting a business using your pension or particularly starting a franchise with your pension, we have a number of videos covering these topics. I'll make sure that links are listed there. And if this sounds right for you or potentially a client that you're working with, I'll make sure contact details are listed below in the description. Do get in touch and we'll happily see what we can do to help. But for now, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Tune in every Thursday for another episode of Ask Tom, and thank you again for your time. Take care and goodbye.